Hey friends, my name is Steve Guttenberg. My guest today is Shahed, and you are an audiophile, correct?
I would confess that I am.
Good. I think you're a special type of audiophile. You are a more, from what I already know about you, you're more adventurous. You've experienced a lot.
I would say yes, especially in a shorter, relatively speaking, shorter amount of time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting that you've sort of you're on the accelerated track of audiophile audiophileness. You know, I think you're going at hyper speed, and I think that's going to be the subject of today's discussion: is your journey and what you were searching for in your stops, sort of along the way. I think that's what we're going to do. So. You've had Wilson speakers and Joseph speakers and PMC speakers. We'll get into the details of that. But where did it start? Who was your first serious speaker?
In grad school, I had an audio engine active speaker.
Okay.
So, like, compared to what I have now, it doesn't probably count, but
no,
that was
doesn't
my.
Really count, but it's a start.
But it was so much better than anything I've ever heard at that point.
Okay.
And then when I got my first full-time job, I knew like I need a proper sound system. And I bought the NHD XD.
Oh, yes.
The dual sub active system.
Right.
Yeah.
They had this really cool paint job, right? It was kind of this burgundy and tan.
Right. And some people would say it's like looks a little weird. But I didn't care because it just sounded great.
Yeah. That's an interesting place to start, that NHD system. Because it was an active system.
Yeah.
It used DSP before a lot of other companies were using DSP.
And room correction also.
And room correction, I don't remember that part, but yeah, wow. That's a really auspicious, serious beginning with the NHT. So where do you go from there?
Then I was in Seattle that time, and then I moved to New York City, and I wanted something a little smaller. So I went with, again, an active speaker, PMC ML1. That was also a really good speaker.
And that's also active. Right?
Also active,
right.
Yeah.
Now that's a pro sound speaker. PMC is a pro sound company. This crossover appealed to audiophiles, but primarily they're pro.
They're pro sounds, yeah.
So that was a big change, though, from the NHT.
Yeah, it was a big change. But it was definitely more accurate sound than NHT, I would say.
Yeah. And but the rest of the system was the same?
At that point, I had a Wired for Sound DAC.
Oh, okay. Wired for Sound.
Wired for Sound.
Okay. Yeah.
Wired for Sound DAC.
Spelled funny, right? Okay.
Yeah, WY.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I also got a Squeeze Box Touch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was also really nice for that day, for this time. Yeah.
What kind of space did you have at that point?
I was living in a studio apartment in Dumbo.
Okay.
So as you can imagine, there's not a whole lot of space, so the PMC made sense. Yeah.
No. So speaking of space, though, because you sent me most of the speakers you've owned, probably not a complete list, but that you did at one point own a Pure Audio Project open baffle speaker.
Right, I did.
So you had a bigger space when you had those?
I had a bigger space, quite a bit bigger than what I have other times. I was living in Astoria, and the apartment I was living was not just like good length, but good width, right? That's very important for speakers. So yeah, I took the opportunity to have an open baffle speaker.
So when you went from the Pure Audio Project, what was your next speaker, and how did that feel to you when you give up this huge open baffle sound to the next speaker?
So I think it was a downgrade. Downgrade in a sense that I moved to Manhattan, Lower East Side. My space became shrunk.
Tiny again. Yeah.
So it's like, I can't carry the Pure Audio with me.
Right.
So that kind of triggered a bunch of series of speaker purchase, and it was good. So my first one was Wilson Sabrina.
Woo! Wow. Okay.
So obviously it was a really good speaker, but didn't suit my taste. And the fact that like moving away from Pure Audio Project, this box coloration, like as good as Sabrina is, that you can hear a box speaker, right? That coloration, right?
Yeah.
That didn't work. I sold it, and had a Harbet.
The 30.2?
A 30.2.
Okay.
It's, again, a fantastic speaker, and I can see why there's so many fans of that speaker. But contrary to popular belief, it requires a lot of space. A lot of space. I had like huge bass traps. I had like sound panels, absorption panel all over my walls. Only then I was able to tame the bass. But then again, I was like missing the lower bass. So I ended up buying Joseph Audio Perspective Graphene. And at that point, it was probably the best speaker I have ever had at that point.
So you weren't thinking about the Pure Audio project anymore?
At that point, I was very happy with the Joseph Audio, to be honest. Again, it's like different, right? You can't compare. Each have their own strength. But overall, I was very happy. And it looked nice also. I mean, that helps. It's not that what I prioritize, but
sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, but you don't keep them. So what's next?
Well, it's, again, it's not audiophile restlessness.
It's not?
At least in that case, or that's what I keep telling myself. I moved to my current place, the condo I'm living right now, 6 months ago, and I realized that given the configuration of my living room, I can't I can't have enough space away from because you have to put the perspective away from the room boundary. And that means I have to listen to the perspective in a near-field configuration. And in a near-field settings, Joseph Audio, they're not meant to listen that way. The driver integration doesn't work. Right. So with a heavy heart, I had to sell that speaker. I was truly sad. And now I have my latest final speaker, AudioNote ANE SPE HE signature, as I think David Coop would say, it's like an alphabet soup. And I think this is the most musical speaker I've ever had. And it's designed specifically to be in not only in near walls, but really sort of in corners too. Right. I didn't buy that until I tried for myself. Like when I pull the speaker away from the room boundary, it still sounds good, but it truly comes to life when it is in the corner placement. Wow. And that kind of makes me wonder that AudioNote speaker are like the perfect speaker for audiophiles in New York City.
Small apartments, right?
Right, small apartments.
Small apartments anywhere, but certainly New York.
Yeah, in New York City. Yeah, I just don't get why it's not as popular as it should be.
So now that you have the AudioNote speakers and the amps are AudioNote?
The amps used to be AudioNote. Now I just sold it 2 weeks ago.
Talk about a restless audiophile.
Well, I mean, it was a Paladin, which is like a 45 tubes.
Okay.
Again, fantastic amp, and 45 tubes, probably one of the best musical tube ever made. But the 2 watt is sometimes not enough.
Okay.
It's enough for 80% of the time.
Right.
But the last 20%, you want to really rock out.
Right.
It's not possible. Yeah.
So you go to these.
Yeah, these are Eric Audio 300B Super SET amplifier.
So I don't know this company. Who are they? Where are they?
They're in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
It's like a one-man company.
It's beautiful. Really looks gorgeous.
Yeah, there's really good value for money as well.
So it's power supply and amp? Is that
power supply and the amp, yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so you got the power covered. And your preamp?
The preamp is AudioNote M3 Phono.
Okay. But that's just phono?
It's like...
Oh, it's a full integrated, a full preamp.
Full preamp.
Okay. And then your streamer, which is your... what do you call your streamer?
This is I would say it's more like a music server, which can also stream.
Okay.
So DIY. I've been building my own music server for the past 6-7 years.
Oh, nice.
And it sounds pretty good. Proud of what I've done, but it doesn't look nice.
Yeah,
it's homemade.
And the phono preamp is?
The phono preamp is the PS Audio Stellar.
Right. So you're not using the phono preamp and the audio note.
Sometimes I go back and forth.
Yeah.
Each have their own strength. The reason I got the PS Audio Stellar, obviously, is like it has great reviews. I think Michael Fimmer did a review, which
Definitely.
also a lot of people got interested after reading the review of that, how it like punches way above its price class and all that. But the reason I got the PS Audios is that I want to try MC card, and I didn't want to go through the hassle of getting like a step-up transformer. That's why.
Okay. And the turntable, the lid.
Yes, it's LP12. It's almost at the accurate level.
Wow.
Except I'm using the Addict card and the new arm, the basic magic level arm.
So the analog part of your system is new.
It's very new. It's like a month and a half old.
So what is that like to now step your toe into playing records?
It's very different.
Is it well, let me put it this way, not whether it's good or not, but is it what you thought it was going to be? Playing records, sound-wise? I mean.
It's better than what I thought it would be. The reason I did this, that I realized that one of my friends used to say is that, there's a difference between music lover and audiophile. Audiophile listen to gears, and music lover listens to music.
Right.
And that day I was asking myself, which camp do I belong to? Like, can you be both audiophile and a music lover? I would think so.
I
am
would
one.
say, yeah, definitely.
And then I realized what I was doing, because with the streaming music, it's so easy to like switch music all the time.
Sure.
And then I realized like it's been a long time since I listened to an album from the beginning to the end.
Right.
I would call it like I was being too trigger happy. Keep switching music all the time. Sometimes I wouldn't even finish one song. And I was like, no, this is not good. And I was hoping turntable, the inconvenience of turntable is the feature I was looking for.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
It's a feature, exactly. Right. And I can begin to tell you how much joy it's bringing me. You could say that, there's always this new excitement with the new gear, right?
Yes,
so sometimes it's hard to separate the new acquisition excitement from the reality. But I would say that I've been listening to music, like I sit down, listen to an entire album. I only get up to flip the record. But it is like, there are so many songs I've been listening that I didn't pay attention before. The joy of discovering a track that I didn't pay attention, that just makes me so happy.